I never really wanted to be an entrepreneur. You only fail when you give up. I think the secret really is dedication. You just have to be able to just keep picking yourself back up again. And I think that's one thing that I really wasn't prepared for. Failure is data. You learn from your mistakes. Mistakes are the lesson. The biggest growth is when you're thinking globally. Set yourself an actual project and do it for yourself.
Welcome to Extraordinary Unleashed, where we serve up the secrets of inspiring entrepreneurs and hustlers who have defied their own limits to unleash their greatness. I'm your host, Debra Chosen. Your next spark of inspiration starts now. From packing orders in her bedroom to leading a multi-million-pound fashion empire, Aimee Smale is the founder and director of luxury women's wear brand Odd Muse. With flagship stores in both London and New York and a reputation as one of the UK's most inspiring young founders, Aimee has become a leading voice in fashion, business, and founder culture, proving that with vision, resilience, and strategy, it's possible to turn your passion into profit. You started from your bedroom in 2020 with a single blazer and no funding, and today it is a global multi-million-pound business. At what point did you realize that the traditional route wasn't right for you?
I actually, in my head, always was very set on being a fashion buyer. I never really wanted to be an entrepreneur, but I loved what I was doing at ASOS so much. I loved learning about it at university. I loved fashion so much. I genuinely kind of recognized a gap in the market while I was working there. And that kind of just that belief in the idea inspired me to be an entrepreneur. And I think that's how the best business ideas come. It's not necessarily, I want to be a business owner. It was kind of like a very natural journey for me.
Scaling Odd Muse from your bedroom to the boardroom, how do you think this journey has actually shaped you, Aimee, as a person?
It's taught me a lot about leadership. Like when I was studying in university and even when I had my first role at ASOS, I never really saw myself as like a leader. And, you know, as soon as you start a business, as soon as you've got one person on the team, like you're catapulted into leadership. It's been such an interesting journey because I think with leadership, it's just leaning into my mistakes. I've actually really struggled with that, but it's made me a better leader.
Speaking of hiring, when you are hiring people to join your team, what are the things that you really look for, maybe outside of qualifications?
A willingness to learn. I really love it when people come to an interview and tell me, you know, what skills they feel like they have that they could add to the brand, but when they're really intuitive and want to know more about the brand, like they don't kind of rock up to the interview and tell me what they think Odd Muse is. They ask me, and I think that's kind of relates back to people skills, but I do like it when people are really kind of inquisitive on what the brand's goals are. Like I love when people ask me in an interview, like, what is the 5-year goal of this brand?
What's one thing that you wish someone had told you earlier about succeeding in business? And do you think that's something that's missing in traditional education?
Whenever I get asked this question, I will always say the sacrifice. You just have to be able to just keep picking yourself back up again. And I think that's one thing that I really wasn't prepared for. I always call it 5 years a founder. So like 5 years was a really pivotal point for me. So it's kind of like there's light at the end of the tunnel, but those early years, they're not forever, but they are so essential.
Yeah, it's funny because I feel like there's a bit of a parallel between university as well, and like the early years of studying. I know that for a lot of people in their first year it can feel quite daunting and overwhelming because so much is new, but you learn quite quickly that you're going to need that same sacrifice.
It's literally just kind of like going through that experience, whether you're starting a university course, whether you're starting a new job, whether you're starting a business. It's just like those first uncomfortable years where everything's kind of new and you're settling in.
Speaking about the success that you've experienced in the fashion industry, what do you think has been your secret in turning that passion into profit?
I think the secret really is dedication. Like there are a lot of times in my journey where I think a lot of people would have gave up. You only fail when you give up. I feel like if we just get up and keep going, we're never going to fail. Like that is inevitable to me. So I think just the willingness to get back up again is crucial. Failure is data. You learn from your mistakes. Very, very early on, I learned to use that as data and be like, we won't repeat that mistake.
Do you have any tips for in real life networking? Is there something that you're sure to do when it comes to networking in person that maybe helps you with confidence or making connections?
I think for me, I always lead in a real interest in others. I think some people kind of go into networking more interested in themselves because we want to meet people, we want to tell as many people as possible what we're doing. But I think it's really important that you give other people the chance to tell you what they're doing. I feel like it comes quite naturally for me. Like I always want to meet people and find out what they're doing.
Definitely lead with curiosity.
Yeah. For someone who really wants to like network with like-minded others, I think this course is amazing. And then of course with the flexibility.
Yeah. And you might discover more of what's possible.
Exactly.
Just like you didn't know about fashion.
I think when I think back to like my time in university, to actually network with others and actually hear from others who actually really post-course want to start a business and go out into the world like that, I think that would have been super interesting for me.
With what you know now about business, what area of Odd Muse do you feel would have benefited the most from maybe a deeper academic understanding?
I mean, just the financials. I think financials are a huge thing. Like I remember, I spoke about how my margins were amazing because I knew so much from university and just really getting granular with it. But, a couple months into my journey, I didn't know what VAT was. And then all of a sudden I've priced everything wrong.
What advice would you give to that person that wants to break into fashion but doesn't really like the idea of a long course?
I would go for a more flexible course such as BPP, because education was such a pivotal part of my journey and taught me so many life skills, but also taught me so many granular skills about the industry and the business world. So flexibility, we kind of keep going back to this. I think it will allow you to do both. I remember when I was studying at university, I was so interested in the actual data and all the stuff that goes on to actually get a product on site or on the shelves. And it's just not spoken about before you get to the university stage. You learn about all these different fragments to what role you can go in. So I think university really gave me the opportunity to get really specific with the fashion industry. And yeah, I think a 3-year course now, the world just moves so fast. So even thinking back to the fact that I did a 3-year course is bonkers to me.
Feels like a life sentence.
Yeah,
now, doesn't it?
it just feels like that's half the time I've spent doing my business.
Yeah. Let's imagine that you're designing maybe a 12-month course to prepare someone for business today, any business. What is the most important thing that you'd put in that curriculum?
Understanding the market that you're launching into, understanding that the market that you're going to grow into. This is like referencing different territories like UK, US, EU. So how we speak to the UK is different to the US, and that's in terms of marketing, in terms of product, but actually understanding that there are so many people that you could be selling to, and really understanding those different customers and where they are is something that I would really add in.
Yeah, help them think globally.
Yeah.
As well, yeah. Because I think sometimes, especially when we're starting out in something, we can be a little bit closed-minded and just 100%. Think about where we are.
The biggest growth is when you're thinking globally.
You spoke earlier about 5 years as a founder. You said, looking back on your inspirational journey to Odd Muse, is there anything that you would do differently?
Mistakes are the lessons, and I've really been able to build on mistakes. I always see any criticism as constructive criticism, and I really use that as data. The one thing I would do differently is not try and do everything myself, because I feel like I, at the beginning, tried to do everything, which is great, and it's actually inevitable when you start a business. There has to be a 6-month period at the very least where you are wearing all the hats.
Yeah.
But you can't let the business grow and kind of try and stay across everything, because you have to really hone in on your strengths and your skills. And there was a time in my business where I just felt like I was just doing a good job at a couple things.
Yeah.
Whereas now I'm really like leaning into like what I'm great at and where my skills are and where my strengths are, and really just reminding yourself like where this is going and how this is growing.
And finally, Aimee, we can't let you go without kind of enrolling into the school of Aimee, right? You've spoken a lot, of course, about your own experience with education. So for those that maybe hope to one day be in your position, so what's one thing they can do right now to help them unleash their extraordinary?
For my final major project at university, had a set task to plan out a brand. And I remember when I was starting Odd Muse, or thinking of starting Odd Muse, I basically did my university project all over again. So I would say set yourself an actual project and do it for yourself. I think that's going to teach you discipline. I think it's going to prepare you for whatever you want to do. Setting yourself a project is super important from like start to finish, and see where it takes you.
Yeah, I love that. Take the pressure off. And who knows, maybe one day it will become a multi-million-dollar business.
Exactly.
knows?
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for sharing.
Having me. Thank you.